Hi, I'm Linda Cook,
And I'm Sharon Wren.
and this is our Quad Cities Crime Watch, in which we look back at some of the cases that we're following. We'll update you. Today is April 8th, so this is as of April 8th today.
Right.
This is the latest we know about some of these cases. And we also have to, we always talk about this, we're not lawyers.
No.
And we cannot recommend an attorney to you. So sorry about that, but it would be a conflict of interest. Sharon's going to pull the wagon a little harder than I do today, but there is an organization that I want you to know about. So I'll save that till last.
Okay.
And Sharon has some really interesting cases to discuss today.
Buckle up, yo. Here we go. This
All
is
right.
freshy. This one is freshy fresh from this afternoon.
Okay.
A man from Bettendorf has been sentenced to 17 and a half years in federal prison for receipt, possession, and distribution of child pornography, according to a news release from the Justice Department. According to court documents and evidence presented at the sentencing, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received cyber tips, which we've talked about before, that's saying that accounts that were later determined to be associated with a Lucas Zachary Woods, age 26, received files containing child sex abuse material. Law enforcement seized electronic devices during a search of Mr. Woods' home in Bettendorf, and a forensic examination of the seized items showed that he used the devices to receive, view, possess, and distribute images and videos containing child sex abuse material. And if you see CSAM in a story, that's what it is.
CASM.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So Mr. Woods will be required to serve a 5-year term of supervised release after his prison term. There is no parole in the federal system, and he was also ordered to pay $35,000 in restitution.
Wow. You know what people don't understand, I think, is that each of these pieces leaves sort of a mark or an alert when they're sent, when they're shared.
Right.
And that's how people are tracked often.
I mean, and all the social media companies turn people in. We've heard X, we've heard Facebook,
Everything,
Snapchat.
everything.
Snapchat seems to be popular. We've seen a lot of Snapchat turning in tips.
Right, right. But this is one of those things that you can't deny because it leaves not a paper trail, but a digital trail. Mm-hmm.
Well, in more federal news, a man from Muscatine was sentenced on April 7th to 15 years in federal prison for transporting child pornography, according to a news release also from the Justice Department. The public court documents and evidence at sentencing showed that, hey, it's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children again. They received cyber tips that an account later determined to be associated with a Clay Derek Calkins, age 45, received and uploaded files containing CSAM. Law enforcement seized his phone during a March 2023 search of his home, and another forensic examination of the phone showed that he used it to receive, view, and possess images of child sex abuse material. The catch here is that this took place during the time that he was on probation for a 2022 child pornography conviction in the Iowa District Court for Muscatine County. He is required to serve an 8-year term of supervised release after his term in prison, and again, there's no parole in the federal system, and he has to pay $12,000 in restitution.
Wow. Just wow.
Right. We have another update, another federal one, but luckily this is not child sex abuse material, but it's still serious.
Okay.
A Davenport man was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison on April 7th for possession with intent to deliver methamphetamine. Documents and evidence at sentencing show that Adam Christopher Smith, age 41, was found with what they call a distribution quantity of meth in March 2025.
So that's more than a person would use for himself.
Yes, in a short amount of time. I don't know what's considered personal use for that.
Right, but distribution use
you
would
got
be
a fair amount.
A lot more.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, according to the release from the Justice Department, Mr. Smith went into an ice cream store as officers approached him and tried to hide the meth under a freezer.
How'd that work?
Well, the court also learned that he violated the terms of his federal supervised release and imposed a 30-month consecutive sentence. Concurrent,
yes.
sorry. He was sentenced in 2020 to a 70-month prison term for possession with intent to deliver heroin and possession of a gun in furtherance of a crime. He was released from prison on those charges in February 24, and then in February 25, they issued a warrant for violations of his release.
Oh, okay.
And he has to do 8 years of supervised release. after his
Okay.
prison term.
It's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time, and it's just, guys, when you do a crime and you go to prison, maybe don't do that one again.
Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes, and maybe I'll segue into this
Right.
from here. Sometimes, though, when you've done your time and you're trying to go straight and keep your nose clean,
Right.
you end up with friends
Ah.
who aren't exactly supportive of your more positive, how do I say this, opportunities. They try to drag you down.
It's what our mothers would call friends who are not good influences.
That is correct. And sometimes people stray into this. It's hard to get away from maybe one of them's your brother-in-law or a neighbor. And
Right.
so there you are trying, but it's all around you.
Right.
So it's
you
very.
can't get away.
I'm really proud to say that I'm part of a group that tries to help justice-involved people, and it's called the Safer Foundation. And I'm on the board of this. So for 50 years, for half a century, Safer has had a Quad Cities office in Scott and Rock Island counties, or thereabouts. And I will just read this from our mission statement. We offer a holistic suite of services designed to support eligible individuals on the road to a better future. Now, that's not everybody, but if you qualify, they will help you. We will, well, not me personally, but
Your group.
the experts in this Safer Foundation will help people with life skills, job readiness, resume building, interview preparation, employer connections, educational services, and ongoing case management for people who really strive to reintegrate into the community. I do know some organizations that hire folks. I'm not at liberty to say, but I do know that there are people who have hired Safer Foundation clients and said, this is the best employee I've ever had.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Everybody deserves a second
Right.
chance. Everybody.
Right.
Erica Lee, who's our Associate Vice President of Regional Operations in the Quad Cities, says, reaching this milestone of the 50 years is a testament to the power of belief in second chances, and it illustrates the persistent needs of the population we serve. So Safer Foundation walks beside individuals and families as they overcome barriers to employment and barriers to self-sufficiency. So it was founded in 1972 in Chicago, Illinois, and Safer's mission has remained focused on empowering individuals impacted by the criminal legal system. And I guess one of and I've talked to people who are successes because of Safer, and
Right.
they've told me that. You kind of have to want to do this. This isn't something that you can be forced into. I think you have to have your mind right. You have to be set for this.
Right.
So I'm going to ask for something now, and I have already ordered mine. To commemorate the anniversary, there is a public participation event. It's called Safer Sacks, and they're little deli sandwiches. They come with, I think, a cookie, and they're on croissant, and a little cheese, a little deli meat, and fruit.
It's a sack lunch.
It's a sack lunch. And on Thursday, April 23rd, Safer Foundation will be once again serving Safer Sacks. You can have them delivered to your office, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have them delivered to WHBF, because I thought that'd be nice, and noon, here's some sandwiches, folks. And then inside the Safer Sack is a brochure about what Safer does and how it does it. So this is, I think, one of the lesser known organizations,
Right.
the Safer Foundation, but it's so nice to be able to have this time to share with everybody who's listening, and to talk to other people who have been part of this program or support this program. I know a woman who said if it hadn't been for Safer, who knows where her son would be. Now her son, he's a grown man now, he's got a family of his own, hard worker, but Safer helped him.
That's
So Google or do a search, Safer Foundation. I do ask you, please order a sack or two. You can go pick it up yourself, or become involved somehow. We do have volunteers who help. We have a lot of young people who get their equivalency degrees through Safer. So we really try to start when people are young and get them through those few weeks where they have to study for their equivalency degrees, but then they can go out in the world and be a productive citizen. A Rock Island man who is a client success has reconnected with Safer Foundation because he's a Safer Sacks fundraiser customer. He buys the lunches. And this is a quote from him. Safer Foundation helped me out. Whether I would have wound up back in prison, I don't know. I was drinking heavy because pouring concrete's a hard job. I was in the bar every day. I could have ended up back in jail, but Safer got me a job at John Deere. So that's been quite some time ago, and he is one of tens of thousands of Quad Cityans who have been helped with the Safer Foundation programs. We call this YEP, it's Youth Empowerment Program, Pathway Home and Employment Services, a foundational program that helped this man so many years ago. Safer Foundation a Safer Foundation president and CEO says that the Safer team and the thousands of people it has served and families it has touched has been essential to regional success. So this, I want to talk about a little bit more about the Safer Sacks. Again, that's Thursday, April 23rd. You do have to order ahead of time. So if you're thinking about it, please do it now. The fundraiser supports everything Safer Foundation does. So you can do this online. It's really, really easy. If I can do it, you can do it. And Safer Foundation, again, is celebrating 50 years in the Quad Cities. We also have a really bang-up trivia night. So watch for, we'll be publicizing that when it rolls around. Please think about that, and when you're considering where you might want to volunteer or a nonprofit that you might want to investigate, please make it safer. Thanks, Sharon. I appreciate the time. I do.
Well, that was a happy story. Now,
yes, there's happy endings at Safer.
But now we're back to the thick of the criming.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
thick of the criming.
There has been an arrest after a fatal crash near Bluegrass last month. The Scott Emergency Communications Center received a call on March 9th, about 6:30 at night, for a report of a motor vehicle accident involving a pedestrian in the 13,200 block of 65th Avenue south of Bluegrass.
Okay, that's way out there.
Yeah, that section of the road is a two-lane asphalt roadway. It runs north and south into a residential area.
Yes, I
Speed
know where it
limit's
is.
about 35.
Okay.
Okay. Well, deputies with the Scott County Sheriff's Office and the Bluegrass and Buffalo Police Departments arrived on the scene. Bluegrass Fire, Medic EMS, and Air Care 4 assisted at the scene, but the pedestrian died from the injuries sustained in the incident. The pedestrian has been identified as 59-year-old Lisa Johansson of Bluegrass, according to the Sheriff's Office. Now, there has been an arrest, as we said, and the criminal complaint says that on March 9th, about 6:30, Kari Neff, age 37 of Davenport, allegedly drove a Jeep Cherokee that was involved in a motor vehicle collision involving a pedestrian, resulting in the pedestrian's death. The complaint said she showed signs of impairment at the time, which is described as lethargic, slurred speech, staggered and stumbled speech, and she admitted to being on prescription medications. Police obtained a search warrant for her blood, which was granted, and the warrant detailed the presence of several medications in her system. Neff was released on a $25,600 secured bond and has a preliminary hearing on April 21st. She is facing charges of homicide by vehicle, OWI, homicide by vehicle, reckless driving, OWI first offense, possession of a controlled substance, traffic control device violation, 2 counts of reckless driving, speeding, and failure to maintain control.
Dear. Now this is interesting. This is not your, I will say, everyday OWI. Because when I hear OWI, I think of alcohol.
Exactly.
Right? But this does not indicate alcohol anywhere.
There was not a single mention in the criminal complaint or any of the paperwork that I've seen that mention any kind of alcohol or anything like that.
Interesting. So, when you're, obviously I broke my arm and I was issued some pretty strong drugs at the beginning. I don't take them anymore. But it says, do not operate machinery, do not drive, because things like that can make you sleepy and really impair your response time.
And it doesn't even have to be prescription. For example, over-the-counter Benadryl, I
Oh,
can't take it.
I can't either.
I take it 10 minutes later, I'm sound asleep.
I'm asleep.
So,
So this is really interesting. It's different than what you and I usually write
right.
about.
Next month, believe it or not, it will be 3 years since the partial collapse of the Davenport building.
May 28th.
Yep, 2023.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and people out there are kind of express frustration when it comes up on social media. Nothing's happening, what's going on? But things are happening with that case. It's working its way through the system. At last count, 38 attorneys are involved in this case.
Oh, Sharon.
Yeah, that just got updated. Now, the only things that have been filed in the case since late February are various notice of discovery response filings from the various parties. Now, a notice of discovery response is a legal document that confirms that a party has provided answers, documents, or objections to the other side's discovery requests for things like documents and interrogatories. Basically, it's a paper trail saying, I was supposed to give you a thing, I gave you the thing on this date. It serves a proof of compliance, documents the information exchange. These filings are not exciting at all. They contain almost no information. They basically say the discovery documents were served to all counsel of record on whatever date, along with the type of document, response to requests, whatever, and then the attorney's names. And the most recent filing along those was March 31st.
Okay.
Now, this is a civil case, not a criminal one.
Right, and that is hard for some people to believe.
But the owner of the building at the time, Andrew Wold, was not charged criminally. So this is
Correct.
all civil.
And this was after, I would say, an intensive investigation.
Intensive, yes. It was very, very intensive. Okay, so basically, the steps in a civil suit are the pre-suit negotiations. You might be able to settle things before having to go to court. Now, in this particular case, there was a meeting with the parties and the mediator back in December. But since they're still submitting responses, I don't think it worked.
Okay, so they're still, oh.
Yeah. So the next step is filing the complaint, which in this case started in 2023. In May of 25, an amended master consolidated petition was filed in the case, adding 75 plaintiffs and 4 new defendants. This case keeps growing. Now, step 3 is responding to the complaint. Step 3 is responding to the complaint by filing a written response to the allegations. Step 4 is scheduling the case. The court set deadlines for interrogatories, depositions, and hearings in this, and the first tentative date for a trial is tentatively August 2nd, 2027. Almost a year and a half for now, and that could change.
But for a civil suit, that's pretty quick,
Yeah.
really, because they last for years.
Well, step 5 is discovery, where attorneys for both sides obtain documents, talk to sources, gather information, subpoenas, depositions, requests to produce. I think we're somewhere in step 5.
Okay.
Step 6 is prepping for the trial. The attorneys go through the evidence, develop strategies, get ready, and if they want to dismiss the case, this is when they do it, to file the paperwork.
Okay.
Step 7 is the trial, and then step 8 is the appeal process.
Okay.
And that's not counting any extra issues like a possible change in venue or anything like that. So we have a long way to go.
Long way to go. And it's hard for people to wait. I do not know what it must be like for the family and friends of the people who were killed in this awful
this
collapse.
case has not been dropped. It is going through the process, and everybody is dotting their I's and crossing their T's because they don't want this one to get thrown out on a technicality.
Right, and that's good. That's a good thing. And you've done a bang-up job following it,
Thank
checking
you.
every day.
The Iowa State Penitentiary has a new warden. Janie Mendez has been named as the new warden of the Iowa State Penitentiary by the Iowa Department of Corrections. She brings over 20 years of experience within the DOC to the position. She served in several leadership positions and frontline roles across multiple institutions, including ISP, the Iowa Medical and Classification Center, and the Mount Pleasant Correctional Facility. She was the Assistant Warden of Treatment at IMCC, Treatment Services Director, ISP, Correctional Counselor at 2 facilities, and a correction officer at 2 other facilities starting in 2023. She has a master's degree of science in criminal justice. And the Deputy Director of Institutional Operations, Marcy Stroud, said, I am pleased to welcome Janie Mendez to her new role as Warden of the Iowa State Penitentiary. Her extensive background across multiple institutions has equipped her with the knowledge, leadership skills, and steady judgment essential for this position. And I don't know how many women are in charge of prisons, federal prisons, but I don't think the number is that terribly high.
I don't either. Most of the wardens that I've met throughout the years have been men.
Right.
So this is really interesting.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if she brings any changes or introduces some new programs or what is going to happen during her tenure.
Sounds like she's got a lot of good background there to bring.
Which is something you want in a warden. You don't
Right.
want just, somebody off the street, hey, you look good, come be a warden.
Exactly.
I would not be a good warden.
I would feel sorry for everybody, and that's not good because sometimes people can take advantage of you. Yeah.
I'd put them in the corner
Oh,
with their noses,
against the wall.
yeah, right at the crack.
I don't know if that works with adults. I know it does with kids and bunnies. But that's why we're not wardens.
This is why we're not wardens.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I think that might be all the time we have this week.
I think so. Sharon, thank you so much. And thanks for letting me talk a little bit about SAFER.
Yes, you need, the public needs to know about
I think
this
so
wonderful
too.
thing.
I think so too. Thank you.
So that's all the time we have this week. Join us next time for more on the crimes that make the Quad Cities hopefully lock their car and house doors at night.
And please lock your doors.
Please.